Did anybody hear it? It's really quiet. But it sounds exactly like the on Mario Kart, the start.
Noise.
Like the 3 days and then 1. Okay. So again, virtual students, I just passed out papers. I wanted to remind everybody, please get your work in. I have in my virtual class and also in person a lot of missing assignments. Please get those in so that you don't have zeros tanking your grade. Again, I'll take late work for half credit all the way through the grading quarter, which I'm almost positive is October 7th. So please get that in and at least get half the credit rather than nothing. So now what I want to do, Drew, can you put your phone away, please? Thank you. If you guys know, Tyler.
Oh, I know. I was taking my backpack.
Okay. Thank you. You guys might have noticed the next activity would be 1.1.5 if we're going in order. So I'm choosing to skip that. It's unfortunate. I would have liked to. The problem is, one, there's not enough materials. I still don't have the supplies from Project Lead the Way, so I don't have stuff to give you guys to be able to do that. Two, virtual students, it'd be really hard to do this activity and have to get your own supplies. And then three, we don't have the time. It's supposed to take, a full 90 minutes or more. And what you would have done is you'd repeat that launcher activity. You'd design a new launcher, but in a project sense where you're making a carnival game. So you design the game and the dartboard or the goal that you're launching at using statistics to see, only 10% should win. And you design it accordingly based on kind of trial data. And then you build that, you write a design brief, which is an explanation of your design and all the components of it. And then you'd also use a decision matrix to pick why you chose that design. It looks at basically all these categories and you rank them according to this design is best, in aesthetics. It looks the best, so I give it a 5. But it's the worst in, distance. I give it a 1. And you make this grid and you add them up and see which design gets the best score. So I'm going to actually have that be a homework assignment for you guys to read through that to understand what it is, since we're not going to do them in this activity. But I want to give you a heads up that that's why we're not doing 1.1.5. So that means we're skipping now to the next lesson. So we're still in Unit 1. So let me see if I can get this logged in. We're still in Unit 1. Again, there are 4 main units of the class. Again, this is my Project Lead the Way. You guys should know exactly what I'm talking about and what I'm doing. Everything is in this site. When you get in here, you probably have engineering. The homework is going to be in this resources page. You can just look up. You can search, or it's right there, design brief, as well as, here, I'll just show you. So one part of your homework is just to read those. So writing a design brief, this page, I want you to read through this, and you can look at the template. This would be you would download this and fill everything in, and that's what you would turn into me for if you did a project. But getting a grip on what it is, what the parts are, what's its purpose. Then I'm also going to assign you guys to read decision matrix. So this is what you would use to figure out your best design, right? Got 5 ideas. These are the most important categories, and I'm going to give them a ranking score for each category. Add them up. Boom. This is the idea that I'm going to choose because it has the highest score across all of my categories. Huh? Oh, thank you. Good catch. So in that situation, idea 6, I'd pick this because it's the highest overall in every category that I'm deeming important for my design. But I want you guys to read through that, understand it, because those 2 things will be any project we do. You're going to do both of those things. This design or decision matrix is how you figure out what you're going to make. and then a design brief is like the main thing you produce that has kind of a summary of everything you did. So for today, in class, we're in the main class page, the Intro to Engineering and Design. We're still in Unit 1, right? We're not in Lesson 1.1. We're now moving to Lesson 1.2. So now we're going to start doing, we're doing some sketching today, but we're going to start to get into the solid modeling, the 3D modeling software. We're doing 2.1, excuse me. 1.2.1 isometric sketching. Does anybody remember what isometric meant or what it was?
Like grid.
Yeah. Have we done isometric sketching before? We've done some sketching before, didn't we?
I have it was with the like 8 objects that we had to draw.
Yeah.
Different forms.
Do you remember what did we sketch?
Like pencils, coffee pots.
Yeah.
Flashlight.
We started with simple objects. What kind of views did we draw?
2D.
Weren't they 2D? Right? We like held up an object and like looked at it from one direction and we drew what we saw. We're drawing that 2D view. So, and if you remember, the grid paper was 90 degrees, right? It was just a bunch of boxes. That helped you draw like 90-degree views. Orthographic is the fancy name for basically 90-degree views, a front view, a side view, a top view. You only draw one perspective of the object. Now, isometric essentially is meaning three-dimensional. In isometric sketch, what you're drawing is 3 dimensions or 3 faces in particular in one view. So sure, it's a 2D sketch. You're going to draw on a piece of paper, but this is a 3-dimensional view. I'm going to have you guys read through all this to figure out what is isometric, how do I draw it. This is kind of the big summary. This is an isometric sketch. It's of a cube. You can see there's the front view, the right view, and the top view, all in one sketch. This shows you kind of a 3D representation of the object. But isometric sketching specific, when you have 90-degree angles, right, a cube, the 2 faces meet at a 90 degree. When you draw 90-degree angles, you have 30 degrees left over from like a horizontal. And you don't really need to worry about that too much because I'm going to give you what's called isometric graph paper that has all these angled lines already in them. So if I have a straight line on my right view, I'm going to just draw it along this angled line. If I got straight lines on my front view, I'm going to draw it on this line. See that? Same thing all the way around. Right? So that the isometric graph paper will make your life really easy to draw right angles. You need to draw proportions correctly. So just measure your block. Like if it's 5 inches, well, I could make each block 5 inches. So I draw this side 5. Well, I want my other side to be the same length. Well, I just count 5. That way you know your proportions are correct. All right, and then we'll get into, you need to do shading. There's kind of a step-by-step how to do shading, but it's all in here. All right, I'm going to give you the orthograph or isometric graph paper. For those of you virtual students, I added, or I will add a copy of the isometric graph paper. Otherwise, it should be, yeah, it's right here. So actually in this assignment, when you go there, the first link will be a printable PDF of isometric graph paper. This will make your life really easy. So I would recommend doing that. And again, I'm going to give you all class to work on this. The point of isometric sketches are to make them as realistic as possible. The goal is to draw something, draw your design, like that paper clip, or clothespin, excuse me. You draw it as accurately and realistically as possible. The proportions match. You include shading to show like depth and dimensions, right? Your light source would come up here, so you got some shadows that you sketch in or shade in. make your proportions, and use the grid paper to help you get, your angles and everything like that. We're going to start with really simple blocks for today, and then I'm going to assign you guys homework to try 2 more things from home, but it can be relatively simple, just to be a step up from like a cube or a triangle, which is what we're doing today. Drew, question? Huh? So you're sketching. You're drawing, right? That's what I've been talking about, isometric sketching, shading, right? So you need to read the instructions to know what am I supposed to do, what do I draw, but it's all laid out. But the goal today is practicing isometric sketching. This would be something that when you do a project, you would do an isometric sketch of your design, whatever you build, right? That way someone can read your report and be like, well, what did they make? What does it look like? Boom. You have a realistic 3-dimensional drawing of exactly what you designed. Later we'll get to 3D models and you can just put a picture of the model in there. All right, any questions? Just a reminder, these are interactive. Oh, did I jinx myself? How did I do that to myself? Maybe I had 2 of them open. So 1.2.1, isometric sketching. There. You see this? This 3D model is manipulatable. Manipulatable? That's not a word. Maybe it is.
Manipulative is a word.
Right. That might work in this sentence. Anyway, I want you guys to know that you're supposed to interact, right? It started like this. That's a terrible choice for an isometric sketch. I only see one face of the object. I need to see like 3, and I need to see, right? The front side should always point this way, right? So this is my front face. It's the biggest feature, and it's the most important. Is this the best view for the triangle? Is this side face the most important face on this shape? No. It's that guy. So I'm going to stick this guy pointing out. Alright? So I just want to point out these are what you're drawing, and you manipulate them, orient them how you want them, and then draw what you see on the isometric paper. Alright, Drew? Yes, I'm going to hand it out for you. I'll give it to you in person. Virtual students, you can just print that out and have as many as you want. So I'm going to put specific instructions here. I'm going to have you guys, again, I'm simplifying it for you. So again, reminder, when I put instructions on Classroom and I'm showing you guys to this, one virtual students, you'll see this right away, because this is what you look at first. Right? So your assignment, I tell you where to go in my project lead the way, 1.2.1. Instead of saying complete the full activity, I'm simplifying. So you want to start here, and I'm basically pointing you to that actual activity to do those specific things. All right? Where a lot of students are having problems with instructions. They keep asking me, what do I do? And I keep telling them, I'm literally laying out exactly what I want you to do. I'm telling you to skip certain parts of the actual activity, so you just don't do those, right? And then I tell you specifically, I only want you to draw these. Don't do the step-by-step in that activity. I'm modifying it, right? So I'm going to leave this up all class so you know what to do, and I'm going to get paper handed out to you guys. While I'm handing this out, go ahead and get your MacBooks out. My project leads the way. Get logged in. 1.2.1. And again, just start here. Start with reading that intro material to figure out about isometric sketches. And I'll also write your homework on the board. And I'm giving you a second paper so that you don't have to print something out. You can just take that second page home and do your 2 isometric sketches at home. Yeah, the homework is you pick them. It's like 2 things in your room.
So do you want the 3 sheets that were drawn on one paper and then the 2 that were drawn on another?
Correct. Right now we're doing it in class. You get that second one for the homework.
Oh, okay. So this is
So 1 sheet is for what you're doing right now and what you're going to turn in before you leave. The other sheet I'm giving you ahead of time so that you don't have to print this out for your homework. And again, that's due next when you come in next class. I will need to print something out. Again, I'll be around if you have questions or need to figure out kind of how to do it. It's hard to get used to it, so make sure you read all the intro before you actually start drawing. It'll help you kind of have a better grasp of what to do. You got a classmate that can lend one to you. 1.2.1. Can you confirm if that's what you got, Aiden? So all lowercase. Let me so yeah, all lowercase. MHS 2020 IED. Let me update your password. Try refreshing that login page and then trying it again. So again, I'm gonna have you guys read all the intro. It introduces everything, kind of describes isometric, gives you tips on okay, how do I even find a view, how do I draw it. That'll help get you started. Skip this and then go straight to here and only draw these virtual blocks. I don't have construction blocks. We're going to use these virtual ones. Again, they're manipulative. You can orient them. You need to orient them in the way that shows the best isometric view. So you need to show the front face pointing kind of down and to the left. And then you need to have the top and the right view. Your front face should be your biggest, most important feature. You don't need feedback. I put a hint in here. When you start drawing circular shapes, they're tricky. Isometric sketch paper is meant for 90-degree angles. It's ideal for that. When you draw those circles on that cylinder, they're kind of weird. So there's a step in 14 that'll show you like a step-by-step for how to draw them well. Draw a value scale. So basically, show me that you, somewhere on your page, show me the range of shading. If bright light is hitting directly on that face, it's going to be white. If it's on the bottom side, it's in full shadow, so show me that that's fully darkened, and then fill in a gradient. It gives you an example of what it looks like. And then steps 12 and 13, that's when I'm going to say, okay, go back to the 3 blocks you draw, add shading now. So you're only drawing the 3 blocks, isometric. At the end, you're going to add shading to your original. So you only need those 3 drawings. Skip basically the rest and do the conclusion questions, and then that's it. All right? Yes. Did you pick those views? I would agree. Right? This is the biggest and most defining shape. So that's, I'm going to put that front view. That's perfect. This one I'd agree with. It shows you the weird face on the side. You don't have a top. Because if you look down, it's just a slant. So you just, but that's fine. And this one, you notice you can't. It doesn't change because it's a cylinder. So your front will be round. Your side right will be round, but then the top. And that's how they are. So these are good choices for your views. Now all you do is just draw what you see. So you use the grid paper. If you notice there's measurements, you can help that teach you proportions. Otherwise, you just make sure proportionally what you drew looks like this, right? If this top face is like huge, and then your side is only like that long, obviously proportional. But then just practice kind of sketching that out, and then later you'll have to shape. So you don't have to worry about that right now. Okay. The only issue with this one is that I only see 2 faces. I see the front and then the side, which is it's hard to tell. Yeah, you orient like that. I see the front, I see the side, and then I see that top, all in one. So you're gonna literally draw me exactly, right? And here, this is mine, right? And then up here, this one you'll notice you can't. Left and right, it doesn't change because it's round. But if you just tilt that down, you'll tell that there it's rounded front and right side, and then you can see the top face. So boom. So then all you'll do, you'll draw on these and try to keep your proportions realistic. Okay, that's fine. Blue. No, so this doesn't match what you're seeing, right? Because I can't see. Right, that's not the point. You only see 3. So you're going to see the right side, a front face, and a top. This is a sloped angle, so it's your front and top are the same. This is kind of hard because this angle, this slope, it doesn't match these lines. So I'm going to have you draw this face, right? Because that does, right? This line is going to follow these, and then you're going to have your vertical. If you draw that, then you just connect point to point. These are the same length, so if I draw the vertical 5 boxes and this angled side 5, then I just connect my dots, and That way I know this weird angled face is the same. And then this will follow your lines. This you'll connect the dots and that'll follow it. That triangle's kind of odd. Okay. I'm gonna have you put it in your computer and write it down, hard copy. So right there. Make sure to have your browser save it so that you don't have to worry about it. But this is really important. You guys need to make sure you have this. So like over the weekend you need to do something. I'm not going to be right here to get it to you and get you on your way. To let you in. And then IED. So MHS for Mississinewa High School 2020, and then IED is intravenous. And it should try to refresh that page. Okay, it looks like it's stuck. So as per my hint, which I mentioned, you draw that circle face. If you go down to step 14, go to this guy. This is like a guide on drawing circular shapes. So this it's like a tutorial that'll show you. This would be a process to make sure you draw circles well, because the circles are hard. And so I put that hint in to make sure you find that resource, so that when you go to draw those circles, you've got to have some support to practice, because the circles are weird. The right angles are pretty easy. So this one, the reason I say that is I'm looking down on one face, and then I got okay. And I'm gonna draw like this one. Obviously, that's not isometric. I got two faces, but this is fine. You'll notice this is weird because my front face is this slope, and my top face is the same slope. Well, you're cutting, that face is cutting 290 degrees, so that's why you technically don't have a front and a right. These are distinct, and so that's fine. I orient it this way so you see the profile and then how it extends, so it still shows you this is my biggest, most important face. And then this one, oh yeah, you gotta finish that body first, right? That's not 90 degrees. And also keep in mind, when you do that bottom, can you see the backside of the object? No. So that also needs to be something right? I only see the front curve. So I'm only going to draw half because I'm not drawing what I see. A lot of kids will draw a full circle. Yeah. The other thing, since you got your shading, you'll need to tell me like the direction of your light. So I'm assuming here your light is coming in like this, right? So you got a little shading up here and then shadows over here. But every object, draw me where your light source is and like where the light's coming in at, so that I can see if you kind of understand the shading and how the light is actually creating the shading. Like this guy, your light, I'm assuming is going to straight at me. Yep. So as long as you draw me your light source direction. So I was just explaining, the triangle's weird. First, what's your biggest, like most important what I want to put at the front, which is basically pointing down into the left. You can orient it that way. It's really pretty close. You get more shape. Right? So my front face is like down to the left. But there's no top face. Well, this is an exception where that face like cuts this direction and this. It's not one or the other, it's kind of both. That's why you're right, you don't have three faces. But the front and the top show you the same thing. The key is your front face, that big main face. I'm going to put that in the front and then make sure I tilt it at, so I can see three. So it's weird, I get it. But this is still correct. Because I got that main face at the front. It's hard to know beforehand. Draw the profile like these. So that this is 90 degrees, so it can follow your line, that angle. When you draw this line, it does not follow any of the grid lines. So draw these first at the same length and then connect the dots. This one will follow the grid lines, so you got to draw those and then connect the dots. Otherwise, if you draw this first, you'll have no idea where to place it. Sounds kind of weird. Tyler, do you have a question? It looks pretty good. Yeah. In this one, you don't need to label your faces like that. This is a like basic intro description. So this isn't a real object. It just shows you what an isometric is. The cylinder one's tricky. So if you look, I give you a hint to go to step 14. And then here, there's sketching isometric circles. This will give you kind of a step-by-step on how to do that because they're tricky. Right? It's telling you kind of, you can isolate that's the face. Now if you draw it, you can draw an outside box, connect the dot, and this will go step by step for how to draw, say, that top face. Because the circular shapes are difficult. But that will give you the step by step on how to practice doing it. Huh? That's okay. Yep, go ahead. Yeah, draw the value scale. Value scale. Yep. So when you read this, this describes what a value scale is. All it is basically like a shading gradient. So you can throw it up here. Just draw a bunch of squares similar to this and show me your shading.
But you're gonna have to be like these.
No. This is just like completely separate. This just shows me, okay, what does a full shadow look like? You're gonna sketch me like how dark that is, how you draw it. And then you can do a little lighter, little lighter, little lighter, little lighter, and then eventually no shading at all to indicate that's like direct sunlight. Yep, you can draw me 5, it's fine. You don't have to have exactly as many as they have. So just draw me 5 and each box have progressively darker shading or lighter, however you want to look at it. And then you can use that shading gradient to actually go in and shade your objects. Again, when you guys draw the objects, you do the value scale, which all that means is like your shading gradient. Shade your darkest, like shadow, what does that look like the way you draw? And then do lighter, lighter, lighter until it's light, which would be like direct light on the surface. And then you go and shade your objects. Each object, I need you to draw me the light source. Right? I don't know if I mentioned it. I'll edit it that way it's in there. All right. So you would draw me an arrow where the light is like coming in, so I know, and then you should shade it accordingly. So the face that gets direct light should be white. A face that's kind of on the other side of the light source obviously would have dark shading because it'd be kind of in shadow. Homework, yes. I have it posted.
12 and 13, you're
Yes, the 12 and 13 is talking about shading. So I'm having you shade the blocks that you already drew. I did. So I'll write it up here. Alright, so I've got homework up there. It's just read about the design brief article. It's in the general resources. Same one for the decision, not decision matrix. Whoops. And then the second is just 2 more isometric sketches, but pick stuff in your room. You know, if you got a Rubik's Cube, do that. That's actually way too easy. If you do that, give me the individual cubes. Like, show the, because otherwise it's just a cube. That's like the easiest thing to do for isometric. Like a coffee mug. That'd be a good one. A bit challenging because you drew the circles. Just some simple object that is in your house, your kitchen, in your room, in this classroom, I don't care. But something realistic, and practice isometric sketching of those. Alright? Again, if you get done early, go ahead and, like, you could start on this. You could do isometric sketches of stuff in here, that's fine, as long as it's something real and basic. What's that? Yes, for the homework, yep. Just give me 2 objects. Put them both on that same paper. Huh? 2 for homework. In class, you still got the 3 blocks. So, yeah, if you notice, they only drew, right? The red line is like this, but what they actually drew is the front. So you're right, you only do that front first, because you don't see the back side of the object. When you look at it, I don't see the back of you, so to speak. I only see the front, so you're only going to draw that front. So basically, you could draw it and then face it, or get your endpoints or something, and just that front. But you're right, you only draw that the bottom. You only draw that. That's the only part of the shape that you see. That's good. Okay. So is your light source like right at the corner? Okay. Kind of looking at that right here. Okay. So yours might be more realistic than mine, because you're showing there's a progression on each face. The value scale, yes. This is full shadow.
sort of the
Like, it is. I don't think it's necessary. I think it's doing more than you need to do. Right? Do you get what I'm saying? Like, if you have a light source, all the tops are direct. Yep, all the right side and all the left sides are the fronts. So you don't need to show me this. This is probably realistic, especially if your light source is at like an angle to all the faces. It would, but I'm telling you, you don't need to do that. It'll be easy to say like, it's coming in from the top. All my top faces I do light, fronts are full shadow, and then the lights are half shadow, something like that. Alright. This one's fine. It's fine, I think. I think you just did more than you needed to. But you get what I'm saying? Yeah. Well, then you look weird. Also, this one isn't right. Yeah, this face, the front should follow this one. Right? It comes down at an angle. It should follow this. Because any two lines next to each other are 90 degrees, even though this isn't a 90-degree angle, right? But we're looking at it isometrically, so this and this is going to be vertical and then along these lines. So you just need to bring this line and tilt it down right here. You get what I'm saying? And it'll kind of match that. Yep. Yes. So if you're done, just leave it. I'm gonna again have you guys put them. I'm gonna collect them as you guys leave. The only thing you're missing is the value scale. Step 11. I need you to draw me kind of your shading range. Wait, scroll down. It's above 11. That guy. Draw that somewhere here so that I know what you are range for shading. Like just draw this. It shows me like the difference in shadings. So one end is going to be like you're going to shade in as dark as you can. That's going to be a full shadow. And then yep. And then you can do 5. I don't need as many as that. But do 5 boxes. One of them's like super dark, full shadow. The other you're like bright light. That would be direct light. And then just draw the progression. It's just to show me how you shade so that it kind of matches you. But then that's all conclusion questions also. Don't forget there's 3 conclusion questions I want you guys to answer. Just put them somewhere on that front. Take a corner of your sheet. Right? So you draw 3. There's a hint for circles. Draw a value scale. Just give me like 5 boxes. One of them is white, it's full light. The other is super dark, that's like full shadow. And fill in the gradient. Shade your objects, right? Draw me the light source for each object. Skip everything else, and then just those 3 conclusion questions. When you get that done, just leave it there. I'll collect them on the way out. Again, please turn something in. I've had students that just don't turn it in, and I get them a 0, and they get mad at me, and then realize, oh wait, I didn't submit this, and then it's late. So please keep that in mind. I'll have you turn it in on your way out. You can do your homework. The design brief, decision matrix, or sketch 2 objects in here. Trey. Yes, that's good. Yeah, in the future you can.
Yeah, I forgot.
That's fine. That's fine. And typically engineers they always use pen anyway. Yep. So I think this one your proportions could have been more realistic. I don't know if you ran out of space. Do you get what I'm saying? If you look at because this should be a lot taller to keep the proportions. So that's one. You could have done the measurements. Like there's measurements and you can count them out. But in general, that would be the only thing to
but it's fine. Just leave it. But this is good. Okay, you drew your light sources. You got this. Now just like put your 3 concluded questions. Oh, yep, you're good. Yep, Tyler. When Hayden's back, yes. When he gets back, you can. Shay.
I'm like struggling hard.
Right, you need to go to your course page. Right, engineering. And we're doing, what activity are we doing? What number is it? 2.1. So unit 1 is the first one. We're in lesson 2, or lesson 1.2. 1.2.1. So this is where you're working at. Alright? And you're going to read all this that kind of introduces isometric. Heaven forbid we read in school. It's not that bad. This is to help you figure out how to draw these. Right? Shows you basic. Yes, that's the whole point. Exactly right. And these, remember, they're interactive. So you can scroll. You can also click them and drag them. Right? Those are good views. So basically each of these, draw exactly what you see. Keep your proportions right. Yeah.
Google.
Yeah. Again, on your homework, don't pick something too crazy. Isometric sketches are really easy for like rectangular, like 90-degree angle things, because then you got your lines. So to make your life a little easier, especially when we're first practicing, try to pick something rectangular. If you want to get challenging, do something circular, like a coffee mug, similar to that cylinder. That'll be a bit of a challenge, so I just want to give you guys some insight on basically picking square, circular, or rectangular type of objects will be easier for you. But you just pick 2 of them and sketch them, show me the light source, and then shade them. And that's it. It's just practice on isometric sketching. That's the question, man. That's what I'm wanting you to tell me. So, 1, you know Command F, right? So search technical. There's actually a couple. Yep, and so if you look up at the top, the other references, the arrow. Either one. Down goes 1. So this is talking about technical information, right? Technical drawing. An isometric sketch is a type of technical drawing. Therefore, all important info about the object. So that's a good indicator. And then, just what do you know if I tell you, like, make me an artistic sketch? Why would that be different than if I asked you, okay, I want a technical sketch of this object? Basically use what you kind of just found out about technical drawing. Right?
That one?
Or artistic. For fun, it's just a picture. Technical. There's a lot of specific information that you keep in mind. It's not just a drawing, it's showing proportion, shading, realism, that kind of thing.
I like that.
Drew, did you need help finishing this? So you're not done yet. Right? 1, I don't think these are quite as realistic. Those your drawings? I'm not sure that these are. Well, yeah, this looks way better than this. Why is that?
especially if your light's coming from here. Why is this the white light trace? I don't think you spent. Go back and double check your shading. This one too. Again, they should look just like those models, right? You pick the view and then draw it, and it should look just the same. Those are gonna need more time. Those aren't cut for the point of isometric to be realistic and have shading. I'd also suggest you actually go home and see them and just draw what you see. Put it in the view that you want. This one, I like your shading. I think I would change the light direction to be like this, because this face gets all the light. Then you have your shadows. So I would move this down here to point it. Does that make sense? Because this is a face. This technically this would be in shadows, because that light's coming from behind that cube, right? That face, that skinny face you can't see. That would be the white light. But here you drew it as this, and that's fine. I think you just need to update where your light's coming from. But then your shading looks really good. These are really good. Your sketches were really good. And they look very realistic, which is another point. Really nice. Then you just need those tree brushes down there again. Okay, I disagree with this one, because to me, if the light's coming in like this, it's hitting that white. It hit the back face that I can't see. That would be white, and this is shadow. The light's coming in like this. Yeah, your light would be like this. It's gonna hit that face bright white, and then you have a shadow on that face. So you just move this over. I would agree with you. Almost. So you finished 12 and 13, which is shading. You got your value scale, which was 11. Skip that, you just have the three conclusions. These guys. That's the only thing missing. Just throw those at the bottom. Just 1, 2, 3. Yeah, those look good. The only critique that I have is, you see how this is like 5, that same thing, just they're like isosceles. That people, yeah. You just need to be aware, especially if you do dimensions, right? Every single side length is the same, so you would want to count it. We could pick an arbitrary, just 1 inch. Every piece is like a 1/4 inch or whatever. But you know that they're the same length, is how your sketch needs to show that. And you can see how, this is longer than this one. Yeah. You don't have to change if you don't want to. I just want you to be aware those proportions are really important for isometrics. Especially if you have images, which you do. Yes. Yeah. So you're right. If you have a kind of an angled light, you're right. This would be kind of weird. Yeah, that's fine. The other thing is, I would technically your light should be kind of like this, right? And you could even add single shading here, because if it comes in this way, you're gonna have light this side but not this. This is issue side. So then anything on the other half is gonna be shading. Because it's coming, like if this is your cylinder, right? The light would be like this. So you'd have kind of light in here, which I agree.
You
given
can
what you're doing.
you have to make your scale
You can
first.
place it anywhere,
and
it's just
you can
kind of show it like
the real estate.
that's good. Yeah, yeah, I like that. Okay. This one, you can't have two full light faces, right? The light can't be coming in from two directions. It can be 100% light, 100% dark. So you're going to want to pick the direction and then show shading on the other. Where's your light? Show me like the arrow where your light is coming in. Oh, okay. Is this for Sarah? Okay, that's all right. Yes, it is. Thank you, appreciate it.
Now the other thing you have to do is make some sort of scale and do the conclusions on the back end.
Yeah, the reason is they're both at the top. Their light's coming in there. They're two faces, so they both get light in the same direction. That's why they're bright. And then these two faces is shadow, right? My light's coming in. This isn't really going to get a lot of light. But they have an angle come like this. Well, this side, it's a little. That's why they did that. I would put shade this very, very lightly, right? Your light's kind of coming in the top. Say this is all light. This is going to be a little shadow, and then the back side gets a lot of shadow. Yeah. So you can either darken this a little and do this like fairly shaded. That would be very realistic given where you put your light source. Does that make sense? Yeah. Your other ones, I think, are good. Yeah. That looks good. That's fine. Yep. Yeah. As long as they're somewhere on that page.
Somebody else have a question?
Who wants to do the work?
Yes. Yep. Include shading. Yep. And show me again where your light source is coming in at. Give me a direction for kind of where the light's coming. But yeah, shading will be a big thing. Are you done? Yeah. Okay. Gotta make it. It's a couple things. One, this isn't proportional because one of these two lines, they're different angles, so they're supposed to be the same, aren't they? That face of that triangle. So I think all you need to do is this length and this length need to be the same. You draw them the same, and then reconnect this line. That will be the realistic proportions.
That's alright.
That's a lot better.
No.
This one is good, but you don't see that back line, so you don't want to draw that in. And same with the very bottom. Yeah, that whole front face. Yep, erase all that. Because I see that face, this face, and the top face. So I'm only going to draw the edges of those shapes. I don't see through to the other side. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, go ahead and ask off really quick. Yes, you can.
Who else had a question? I'm sorry. Luke, do you have a question? You did? Okay. Yes.
This is your homework. This is the two homework extensions. This is what I need you to turn in by the end of class. So you just
value scale, add shading, and where your light's coming in, and then three. Hold on. No, I'm gonna have you turn it in. Well, I guess it won't matter. If you guys are done and want to turn something in, I was gonna have you just like on your way out the door. But if you want to turn it in now, just put it in this folder. Alright? So I need all you guys, before you leave class today, to turn this into me. And I'll try to grade them and get them back to you next class. Don't forget, read these two things, and then draw me 2 more sketches. Those 2 sketches, again, will be due when you come back to class on Wednesday.
I am proud of myself.
Looks good. To clarify, this is a square pyramid, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Because someone was trying to draw a rectangular, triangular pyramid, and realized it's really hard isometric.
Yeah.
Because you can't just look at 2 faces. They're not 90 degrees from each other.
Yeah.
They're actually like 60 degrees from each other. And so it makes it really hard to draw in isometrics.
Oh my God,
So,
what's
yep.
the technical schedule? What the heck is the artist doing? Why are you so hard?
That ain't hard.
It is hard.
I'll give you a hint. Do Command F. You know Command F? The search feature? Search for technical. See if technical shows up anywhere else in the document. I could give you hints on what is a technical drawing.
Wait, do I have to put a shade?
No, you don't need to. But your shading should show a gradient. Right? One face should be full shadow.
Yeah.
And then another face might be light shadow. I need to see that. This assignment I have the gradient scale or value scale because I needed you guys to show me the first time around that you kind of understand that.
Oh,
Homework keep, and you need to bring back next class. Those you can put in that folder. Make sure your names are on this stuff, okay? Is there any other questions about the assignment? The instructions are all here, right? So the 3 virtual blocks. Draw me a value scale, like some shading grid on your page. Go back to your original blocks you drew and shade them in. Show me where your light source is and shade them appropriately. And then 3 conclusion questions. And that's it for today's assignment. You'll turn that in before you leave. Virtual students, you'll submit that online before the due date.
you were still doing virtual?
And then homework, read decision matrix and design brief, right? And then give me 2 more sketches of things in your room, in your house, whatever. Include a light source and shading for both objects, and that'll be due when you come back the next class. All right? Any questions? I'm going to go ahead and pause the recording then.